Even Klein has started World War III by daring to criticise K-pop. How could you do this, Ian? Think of Jungkook. Is that how you pronounce his name? I don't follow BTS, I don't know. Right, cool. Now that I've pissed off everyone within the space of 10 seconds, let's talk about this, shall we? So basically, Ethan said some incendiary, stupid shit on his podcast, like he does every other fucking day at this point, about K-pop, and K-pop stans had a Twitter meltdown about it because of course they did. They're primarily children. Let's just get 2 facts out of the way before I go into this video. Number 1, K-pop stan Twitter can be incredibly toxic and insane. Number 2, Ethan is an idiot. Okay, right. Now that I've been a centrist on this, let me do a pro gamer move and surprise you all by defending the crazy stans? Sort of. Not really, I don't know. Is it less defending them and more just criticising Ian? Let's find out. Ethan? I kept doing that earlier as well. I kept calling Ethan Ian for some reason. I don't know, if I say Ian, it's Ethan. Anyway, I'm gonna defend the crazy, silly K-pop children because fuck my channel, right? I don't care. Dislike this video. Who needs subscribers and followers anyway? On the Alizee channel, we like to punch up, not punch down, because punching down would be punching down at literal children, like Ethan likes doing. But he doesn't literally punch them though, because that would be illegal. Listen, every other commentary channel who picks up on this topic is gonna be defending Ethan, so I'm just interested in keeping it fair. And I love being contrarian. And for any 12-year-olds who might watch this and think, I don't like K-pop, I'm not obsessed with K-pop, I only like real music, I only listen to Jimi Hendrix. Okay, cool, well done, you're not special. Come back and talk to me when you only listen to the realist of music, and that is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. So, Pound Shop Joe Rogan made fun of wonder boy group superstars BTS during podcast 164. Ethan likes to do this thing on his podcast where he says a bunch of incendiary shit, I think just to annoy people, and then surveys the backlash, probably with like a smile. I think he enjoys it. However, when it comes to criticising BTS, that's like hitting a wasp nest with a brick, and the wasps are all armed with tiny little nuclear weapons. It is indeed a correct statement that K-pop stans can be very loud, very aggressive, incredibly toxic, a bit mental. But it's also a correct statement that I am going to state that Ethan isn't as smart as he likes to think he is, and shouldn't anoint himself as like the moral conscience of YouTube. I'm not sure where that came from. That suddenly that guy who did Vape Nation, stole Vape Nation from Fully Frank, that guy is like the moral arbiter of this platform. Very strange. So he made some remarks, we'll go through the clip, and then he hid behind, and his fans who defend him, hid behind the whole, but they were just jokes. Excuse. It's very easy to retroactively state that something was a joke. I could say a load of mean shit and then just be like, well, I'm joking, though. Does it mean I'm joking? I don't know. We can watch this clip together and find out.
Oh, did you just put in some music, Zach?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so we don't sit in silence.
Well, BTS. I don't get the BTS thing. I'm just gonna say it right now.
I don't get the BTS thing. Maybe because you're not their target audience, you boomer. Is it something that you need to get? Is this a difficult concept to comprehend? I'm not Justin Bieber's target audience. End of sentence. Also, it's funny that he focused on BTS when Blackpink were just before BTS. Like, does he not realise that Blackpink is also a K-pop group?
I don't like K-pop. I hate K-pop. I don't get BTS.
K-pop?
They look like they're just a bunch of... How did this become a thing in Western culture where all these grown men and little girls are jerking off to little K-pop boys?
How did this become a thing in Western culture? What does that even mean? Are you completely unaware of a boy group called One Direction? Do you not remember how insane people were over One Direction when they came out? This isn't a new thing. Fangirls have been around for a long time. Extreme fangirls as well. You know that the West isn't the be-all and end-all of culture, right? You know that there is a whole world outside of LA and New York, yeah?
It's like a little fetish. It's like a little twink gay fetish about these K-pop boys.
Yeah.
Stereotyping Asian men as gay twinks is a very bold move. Good luck.
Have an insight on K-pop?
Ian, do you like K-pop? What do you think about BTS?
I mean, I don't like it, but I mean, it's just pop. I don't know.
Just pop music.
You know,
but you like
F
pop.
tier, easy. I don't know. I don't like the kind of the blend they do of like hip hop and then like really not that interesting pop music. I don't know. It's not for me. But I see why people like it.
I like how the editor, or whoever the hell this man is, I stopped watching the H3 podcast a long time ago, Subi. I like how he's more adult and reasonable about it than Ethan is. As in, this genre of music isn't for me, but I can understand why other people like it. It's not a hard concept to wrap your head around, is it?
Do people like it ironically? Or
No!
Because that's what I thought.
No! Dude, people are crazy on Twitter, the K-pop fans. It's so weird. All they do is post a GIF of their favorite K-pop person dancing, and they go fucking crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure that somebody's going to try to assassinate me.
K-pop Twitter is crazy. I agree. Because it's primarily young girls, and this is the point of contention with me, that this is why I'm doing this video. Because the people that are being ragged on are young girls. It's not an unfair or wrong statement to claim that the vast majority of K-pop stans, and I'm not on about fans, because you can be a passing fan of something, like, oh, I have a vague interest in that, or even like a more than a passing interest. But a stan is someone who is obsessive, and I think it's fair to say that the majority of obsessive K-pop fans are young teenage girls. If you can get on board with that argument, you'll be fine for the rest of that video. But if you disagree with that, then just don't bother watching the rest of this video, to be honest.
Like, everybody's into this K-pop phenomenon, and I don't know. It's like,
I don't think it's everyone. They're just very loud.
K-pop.
I know that, like, Harley Plays is into K-pop. Harley Morley. I think PewDiePie's into K-pop. I know that Ian is a huge K-pop fan.
No. But I get it. I get why people like it. I don't know. It's like One Direction or any of that stuff.
I always hated boy bands.
But like, why would somebody like Harley like One Direction?
I don't know, Ethan. Are people not allowed to listen to whatever they want? Pop music is designed to hit your dopamine receptors, so it's pleasurable to listen to. Taste is subjective.
That's a great question.
Who on earth is this bootlicker? It's not a good question, it's a stupid one. Taste is subjective. Stop kissing his ass. No wonder Ethan's always saying silly shit all the time if he's surrounded by yes men.
Or PewDiePie, and I might be talking out of turn here, but I'm pretty sure PewDiePie likes K-pop.
Not just ironically?
No.
That's what
you don't listen to music ironically.
I'm just going to throw it out there and see what grows. But I think that Ethan is slightly maybe jealous of Felix. PewDiePie, sorry. I don't know him personally. Mr. PewDiePie, I apologise. I think he's slightly jealous of him, and that's why he's always like subtly shading him.
PewDiePie got his house broken into. That really sucks. I feel so bad. Marzia probably lost a bunch of jewelry. She probably lost like millions.
I'm just a gardener. I'm just seeing what grows.
Some people
maybe.
do.
How do you listen to music ironically? You're at home by yourself,
just
listening
like how
to music
we're
ironically.
Watching Temptation Island.
That's not ironic. You're enjoying
not
the
ironic,
experience.
but
You can't hate
but you know
listen
what
to
I
music.
mean.
Yeah, some
It's
people just like schlock.
You cannot hate listen to music.
They call it like
For everyone on Twitter who kept being like, Ethan's just joking, it's just a sense of humour, he's just clearly joking. Why does it sound like he's genuinely pressed about PewDiePie listening to music that he doesn't like? Oh yeah, because Ethan is a nitwit.
Let's continue before I say anything else. That's not... Let's see. I've used the gay word derogatorily.
A couple times.
Torley?
Derogatorily. And
yeah,
I've said...
probably just cancel his show.
My show? Yeah. What can you do to me? I've already said the N-word. Like, You can't take me down.
Well,
I've already said the N-word live.
let's not invite
You
anyone.
can't touch me.
He's just so obnoxious, isn't he? I've said the N-word, you can't touch me. So this podcast aired, and if it had just been kept to that, like, I wouldn't have given a shit. He put out an opinion, he doesn't like K-pop. Saying that they look like gay twinks is probably a bit uncalled for, but it certainly wouldn't be anything to make a video about. Like, he just said some shit on his podcast. That's just another Tuesday for Ethan. He's always saying shit on his podcast. But K-pop Twitter obviously found this and reacted extremely. You know, because these are young people, children, basically, passionate children. So of course they're going to overreact. And the hashtag H3H3 is over party started trending. And sorry, that's really funny. That is a very K-pop stan Twitter thing to do. Like, let's end Ethan. Let's cancel him. Firstly, I'm against cancel culture, and it doesn't work. If cancel culture worked, Logan Paul wouldn't still be a billionaire. He wouldn't be a millionaire. He'll be begging for change somewhere. Cancel culture doesn't work. I don't agree with it unless someone's genuinely a piece of shit and has done a murder or something. Ethan, to my knowledge, hasn't done a murder. But because Ethan is Ethan, he of course doubled down on it. And this is where the issue when I found out about this came from me. So let's get into it. So at first he tweeted, clearly just enjoying it. I'm finally trending on Twitter. H3H3 is over party. Nothing wrong there. If I saw that about me on Twitter, I'd probably be like, oh cool, I'm having a party, great. You know, you would make fun of it because it is inherently silly. And then he tweets, my message to K-pop fans, lighten up nerds. If you can't handle your hobby being made fun of a little bit, then you really are just a bunch of little girls jerking off to K-pop boys. And this is where the punching down comes in, because you are talking about children, literal children. The stans, I've explained already, are on the younger side, like 12, 13. Of course they're going to react that way. There's hardly going to be like some 50-year-old man somewhere called Stan working at like a gas station being like, I can't believe fucking Ethan Klein said this about Young Cook on Twitter, I'll have him. No, it's clearly 12-year-olds. Of course they overreact because it's what teenagers do. They're very emotionally volatile and sensitive due to all those bloody hormones. Like, congratulations, you want a fucking cookie? Well done, really clapped back at those bloody kids. You sound like such a boomer. You bloody kids enjoying things that I don't like, get off my lawn. Ethan, what happened to you? Why are you so old now, man? You are essentially just complaining about kids being kids and reacting in the way that kids do, and I just don't see the point of it. It doesn't sit right with me that a near middle-aged guy is just complaining about kids being kids. Like, do you not remember yourself being a teenager and being a bit cringy about things that you were into? I certainly was. I was quite a big fan of My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco. Did I probably do and say some cringy shit? Absolutely. Have I grown up from that? Absolutely. That's part of getting older. My whole point of this video is just let the kids be kids. Stop admonishing them. Stop being like, oh, you're fucking stupid for liking this thing because I don't like it and I don't get it and I don't understand it. You're 30-something. You're not its target audience. And that's absolutely fine. Don't forget who built your audience. Teenagers. Leave them. I think I've gotten soft in my old age. Leave them bloody teenagers alone. It's hard enough being a teenager, thinking you're isolated from the world, thinking no one understands you. If they want to enjoy K-pop a little bit, like, too extremely and get a bit oversensitive, ignore it. Be the bigger person. We are the bigger people. We're older. Fucking act your age. Luckily, I grew out of that phase of being mental about Panic at the Disco, and now I'm only obsessed with Keanu Reeves. I've always been obsessed with Keanu Reeves, actually. I don't know if it's an obsession though, if I want to kind of be him. He's just such a good person. Yeah, I mean, he's just such a good human. So anyway, all that was well and good and fine, but then he made a further tweet, and this tweet I think is just highlights how like fucking ignorant he can be. And the fact that it's got like almost 80,000 likes from other idiots is a little bit infuriating. That face when K-pop stans are trying to take the moral high ground over a joke, but are responsible for dozens of suicides of K-pop idols because of their online abuse. What exactly are you trying to achieve with this tweet here? Are you using the suicide of young people as a way of clapping back against these haters and stans who are children, because that's kind of fucking gross if so, no? Like you're just kind of throwing that in their faces. Huh, your favourites, your oppas have like killed themselves. That's not cool. I won't classify this as an edgy joke, it just sounds like he's being smug over suicide. The strangest of flexes, I'll admit. Okay, Boomer. If you want to actually get into it, I would say online abuse is probably on the lower end of reasons as to why some K-pop idols commit suicide. I would say it's more to do with that they are hideously overworked, having to dance, 10 to 12 hours a day, underpaid, stressed out, maybe they don't have great access to mental health facilities, constant dieting, constant trying to fit a certain beauty standard, maybe having to get plastic surgery done. If not fitting to that, this could lead to all sorts of mental health issues. Not once diagnosed, but it could lead to like eating disorders, body dysmorphia, you name it. Abuse within the K-pop industry itself with management seems rampant. Don't quote me on that. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, or mental abuse. It seems like a commonplace thing. It is in a lot of industries, but we're talking about, the K-pop industry. All of this could lead to depression. The work culture in South Korea is alarming. It's a very much work type of culture. Suicide rates are actually a lot higher in South Korea, probably due to the amount of stress from all the work. Again, don't quote me on this, but this is just kind of like knowledge that I've gathered. And the high suicide rates aren't specific just to the K-pop industry, they're also specific to South Korea in general. So this seems to be like a national problem within that part of East Asia. But all of that information I just gave you doesn't condense down into a snappy tweet, does it? So the fact that there are so many mitigating factors as to why there is an alarming amount of suicide within the K-pop industry, the fact that he would brush that all aside and say, no, do you know what's causing these K-pop stars to kill themselves? 12-year-old Julie from the US who once tweeted, oh, I don't like Jimin. It doesn't sit well with me that a grown-ass man would put that insinuation and implication on teenagers. Yeah, you little 13-year-olds, you're the one causing these people to kill themselves. This is your responsibility, this is your doing. It's nothing to do with any of these other factors. It's you talking shit on Twitter. These K-pop stars are so overworked, I genuinely don't think they would have that much time to check through Twitter to see any sort of abuse. Their management probably controls their phones. For anyone that's saying, Alizee, you're looking too into this, he was just like making a joke. I didn't find the joke very funny, but that's just me, that's just my sense of humour. It sounded less like a joke and more that you're being smug to teenagers about the death of people they like. It's just, even your clapbacks are so uninformed, man. Imagine if you spent your time broadening your perspective on things instead of just being like, I'm right about this one thing, blanket statements over everything. And remember, this isn't just like one thing that Ethan's done, he has a history of making blanket statements about shit that he's rather uninformed about. You guys know I'm not a Puritan, joke about whatever the fuck you want as long as it's funny. But where's the punchline here? I don't really see it. Haha, your idols are dead because of you. Take that, teenagers. And I'm not saying don't joke about suicide, I'm saying that you can joke about anything, but it's important as to whether you're punching up or down and what the punchline of the joke is. For example, I always say some form of wish God would take me. I think it's from old people Facebook. But the butt of the joke is me. Like, I am the punchline of that joke. So I'm not punching down or up, I'm just punching myself. I'm going to be in such a minority for this video. I know I'm like so stunning and brave. Because other YouTubers are going to be on Ethan's side. Just to suck up to him. Clout, I guess, maybe. For example, Elvis the Alien said, the hatred is over, party is so sad. I've never in my life come across a group of people so sensitive of their tastes than of the K-pop stans. Why is that? It couldn't be that the majority of them are literal children. The emotional and rational parts of their brains haven't fully developed yet. And so they might be prone to emotional outbursts or being a bit overreactive. Nah, it couldn't possibly be that, could it? A lot of these stans aren't familiar with Ethan and his crude sense of humour, but there's no hate behind his edgy jokes. What was that suicide tweet about then? Did you honestly say there's no hate in that? Blaming kids for the suicide of adults. This isn't the first time Ethan's dunked on kids though, isn't it? Remember that time he was slagging off Pyro Cynical and Pyro was like, what, 17 to Leafy? Just because Pyro was getting subs or something? In light of all this, I know that's ancient history. And I'm not one for bringing up really, really old drama, but it's just interesting to remember that he did that and he would have been, what, in his late 20s, maybe 30 years old? Talking to, I believe Leafy at the time was 20, about a kid, slagging him off. It's just a bit strange, isn't it? Weird behaviour. I'm just planting seeds and seeing what grows. It's like it's easy to make fun of children, isn't it? I already know some of the criticism I'm going to get. Oh, Alizee, K-pop stans are annoying. I know they are. Like, any sort of stan is annoying. These stans are children. That's why they're annoying. Most children are very annoying. I'm like so maternal, oh my god. That's my point in this video. Like, just, hey, Ian. Why did I say Ian again? Ethan. Leave those kids alone. That's something else stupid that Ethan said recently. Keeps banging on about the Michael Jackson case because remember we went over this last time. Ethan is a lawyer. He knows everything. He's the be-all end-all when it comes to information on Michael Jackson. He was basically there. He knows everything that happened. Someone pointed out to me that in one of his podcasts, Ian said any grown man who would spend 30 nights sleeping in the same bed as a boy or a child or whatever would inevitably end up molesting them.
And I was always on the fence. But, you know, I have a thought experiment that I would always pose to myself that always, edged me towards he did it. And that thought experiment is very simple. Imagine a man, any man, sleeping in bed with a young child, a young boy, every night for 30 days straight with no parent. What are the chances, I ask you, what are the percent chances that he didn't touch that little boy in an inappropriate way? And I would think hard on that. And I would say, you know, I have to say, in all honesty, using my brain and my common sense, forgetting about all the mysticism and everything, it's 0. It's 0%. That is just not something that you do.
The more astute of you would have noticed already what's dumb about that statement. So, Ethan, any man would molest a child if they stayed in bed with the child for 30 nights in a row. Are you admitting that you would? Because you're a man as well. A blanket statement like that must include yourself, because what makes you so special? Are you insinuating that you would? Of course I'm being entirely facetious here. Ethan wouldn't. We know that. He's not... I feel uncomfortable even, like, he's the one that fucking said this, and I'm just trying to point out the logical fallacy of this blanket statement, but I'm feeling bad for picking up on what he inadvertently insinuated. Like, he doesn't think about the stuff he says. He doesn't realise that he inadvertently implied that, well, he's a man too, so surely if he had to spend 30 nights consecutively in bed with a child, he would end up doing the unspeakable. I feel bad about saying that because it's going to sound like I'm the one that's saying that he would do that when we all know that I'm just being facetious. We know that he's not that way inclined. He's not going to do that. I'm just pointing out that he talks utter shit, doesn't think about what he says to the point that he implicates himself in these nonsense sayings. 500 plus IQ points. Galaxy brain. Basically, he's just really full of himself and this podcast is not a good idea. I'm not the only one that has thought this. A lot of people have been turned off because of the podcast, because he makes blanket statements, because he says things like, every priest in the Catholic Church is a paedophile. This is a fact. Healer, don't disagree. It's a fact. He knows it for a fact. I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but Healer is still lovely and must be protected at all costs. It's almost as if Ethan comes across as a bit of an idiot on his podcast because he doesn't edit it. Or as one of my viewers said, he's not intelligent enough to talk for hours on end without sounding dumb. And that, I don't know why it made me laugh so much. But I think there's something to that. I was thinking about this earlier today when I was, getting ready to do this video. And I used to watch Ethan years ago, obviously like during the Phil Frank era, and I really liked him and his content. I think they shouldn't have stopped doing the comedy videos, but people change, you know, time moves on forever. I wonder if he's always been like this and so full of himself and his own opinions and thinks he's the be all end all and knows it all. Has he always been like this? And we just didn't know because he was putting up, you know, snappy 10 to 20-minute long videos per week, heavily edited. Or has the success got into his head and he now has a much more higher opinion of himself? Maybe it's a bit of both, who knows? But it's all a matter of taste. Unlike Ethan, I can see why people like his podcast and why people like his sense of humour. Because I have big brains and I use them. However, I do think that he's becoming much more cynical, a bit nasty. People can reiterate that they were just jokes, but I don't know. It's worth considering that maybe they aren't jokes and he just is becoming more bitter and nastier, or likes to hate on things because he thinks it's cool. What a boomer. You know, you can actually like stuff, you know. You try that out sometime. List a bunch of stuff that you actually like. Mine is Keanu Reeves, 1 to 10. Keanu. So that's all for this video. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. I will probably read about 5 of them. And hey, Ethan fanboys, if you made it this far and mass disliked the video, don't worry. Everything I said was a joke.